Right.
Growing up
Yeah.
in, Caribbean house. I told you I'm Jamaican.
Yeah.
So like college was on my mind since like elementary,
Okay.
so, in middle school, right. Yeah, I was in like some of the magnet programs, through middle and high school. So from, earlier, I was involved in like extracurriculars that, planted the seed, right. That, we want to try and, place ourselves in good academic standing so that we're, able to go to, these fields of higher education and, pursue STEM. We need more people. We need more people of color in STEM and,
Yeah.
So it was definitely heavily emphasized at home and, in the classroom.
Right. You know what else needs to be heavily emphasized? Starting this podcast.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. We could go on tangents for days.
Yeah,
I have that.
Yeah.
That habit.
Yeah, same. Because it's like anything that has to do with like not work, I'm all for. It's like, oh, what are we talking about?
And luckily, that's most things.
Yeah, yeah, true. And yet, but it's like, why does work have to be like the main thing? Anyway, we may get into it, but I gotta introduce this podcast.
Yes.
Hi everyone, this is Moment of Clarity. It's the podcast where I interview my really amazing friends. Today we have Nathan. Nathan is a software engineer. He is actually the youngest person I've interviewed so far by a country mile. I'm kidding. By a country mile. People are probably wondering, like, how old is he? Like, you just turned 27.
Yeah, just turned 27.
Yeah. Yeah. But usually, like, I interview, like, my friends who are a little bit, like, at least, like, in their 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you here? I'm kidding.
Like, who invited you anyway? Right?
Well, I wanted to interview you because you are younger. And however, like just from, talking to you and knowing you for the past couple of years, it's like I could tell that like you have a really strong understanding of like what is going on. Like you see the full picture, I feel.
I try.
Well, I guess nobody knows the full picture. Or like a lot of people tend to ignore a bunch of parts of the picture. But yeah, I just like, I find that like your perspectives on, just like politics, I don't know how to make this like not sound weird, so I'm just gonna say it. Like you like respect women. Like, and that's kind of, I don't know if anybody realized, that's sort of the theme of my podcast. Like secretly.
Oh man, the bar. The bar.
You see women as people. How do you do that?
It's kind of revolutionary, man. Tell us about that. But yes, thank you for your kind words.
Yeah.
And it's an honor to be on the podcast.
Thank you.
I've been following it. Maybe not as closely as a diehard fan should be, but I've been following it for sure.
Okay, thank you for secretly saying you're not a diehard fan.
No, I'm a fan of the podcast for sure.
Thank you.
For sure.
I got one.
There's got to be more than one at this point.
Yeah. But it's kind of like you're the first person that I'm interviewing with my new picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, this wasn't in the other episodes.
No, it's so I initially brought in the picture that's hanging in my living room because the picture that we can't see on screen but over here was way too shiny, so this light was it was like you could see the
Okay.
reflection of the thing, and it was like you you wouldn't be able to focus.
Oh, okay.
If somebody was watching. They would be trying to figure out what that is.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I bought another canvas picture.
I don't really have a good. I don't have a strong idea of like the stuff that I like. Like a lot of the pictures that I have in my house are just like pictures that I've acquired over the years from like friends.
Okay.
You know, one of my friends, Layla, is a painter, and
Oh, okay.
you know she sculpts as well. But I'll just have like some art pieces that she just decided to like give me, you know, here and there. But it's not really a cohesive, you know, theme or anything. I just thought,
Right.
oh, this looks nice. I'll put this here.
Yeah, that's awesome. So she gifts them to you.
Yeah, on occasion. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she does commission work for sure, right? But early on, she would give some pieces to me every now and again.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool. I'd love to buy some art from my friends, honestly, because I have a couple of friends who are artists. They started getting back into art too, which is really, really cool. If she's ever selling some, I'll definitely buy some. I think it holds more meaning when it comes from a friend.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Especially when it's made for you. They're thinking about you as
Oh, they made it for you.
Oh no.
Oh,
Not the
okay.
piece no. But if you're buying from a friend, right, then in that situation, then yeah, they're making it like specifically for you.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
I need to support my artist friends. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll request a piece sometime this year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, first question. What first made you feel seen in nerd culture?
What first made me feel seen in nerd culture? So for me, I guess growing up, I was always like a weird kid. And I don't know if I would call nerd stuff, in my case, like anime and cartoons. I don't know if I would call them an escape, but it was definitely like a place where I could lean into like the hilarity and absurdity of life, right?
Right, yeah.
I love to laugh, and so when I would watch some of those cartoons, watch some of these shows, different anime, Dragon Ball Z and One Piece, and I guess in the case of the comedic shows, for me it was like Courage the Cowardly Dog, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. My younger brother and I would just that's where we like felt at home, like we felt comfortable watching those shows.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's really interesting. What did you mean by a weird kid?
Weird as in just kind of socially awkward. When I guess when I was younger, my biological father passed away, and I guess how the way that manifested itself in socially, just in school, was kind of like off sometimes. Like I would be sitting around and like joking with friends in elementary, and just like casually like be like, oh, my dad died, rats, and it's like that's that's a very strange thing for like an elementary school kid to like just say, casually. So, but also just generally like being goofy, whatnot during that time. I think my brand of like goofiness throughout elementary and a little bit of middle school was just a little bit off-putting.
Gotcha.
And yeah, and so I had a harder time making a more cohesive group of friends during that time.
How old were you when your dad passed?
I was 5 years old.
Okay, gotcha. So, because I know that elementary school is from pretty much like 5 years old to 10. So, I guess like when you were making those jokes, was it like later on, or is
It's like, probably when I was like 8, 9-ish.
yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. When you have like a a death in the family. Like, it's so weird because you sort of suddenly get a better understanding or suddenly acquire a darker sense of humor.
Yeah.
As ironic as that may sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know if it's correlated, but it's that acquired like darker sense of humor. I feel like that's what made shows like, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy,
Right.
and like shows like Flapjack that had these real like, dark jokes sprinkled in among like just weird, goofy kid stuff.
True.
Right? Like a lot of these shows they're lighthearted, pretty much all the time, but they have a dark undertone to them.
Yeah.
And yeah,
like
that was
regular show and Adventure Time, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess that was my type of humor. To be honest, it's my type of humor right now still.
Mm-hmm.
I still have an appreciation for dark humor.
Yeah. It's a hard thread to needle with dark humor, because it's like that awkward tension
and a need to like break it, somehow.
Right. Yeah.
Like if we just get people laughing, we can get out of this, tension. Right.
Also, it could be used as just a way to cover up your own feelings as well. Also
true.
Yeah. Oh. When did your mom meet your stepfather?
So my mom met my stepdad when I was probably in my freshman year of high school.
Okay, so it was you and your mom for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's me, my mom, and my little brother.
Okay. Your brother has the same father?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought it was... My bad.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, so your brother was... y'all are both very young.
Yeah, I was 5 years old, and him probably like 8 or 9 months when my dad passed away.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Who was the fictional character that shaped how you saw yourself or how you wanted to be?
The fictional character. So I can't really like pinpoint one, but I guess like the general archetype, and it might sound like a little bit lame, but like the general archetype that I've always held in like kind of high regard is that like, typical shonen anime protagonist. Just the idea that you can fall down a bunch of times, but through nothing but conviction, and the power of friendship, right? You can like overcome, right, whatever this challenge is and move on to the next one. Right? That's something that I always thought was like really cool. There are those themes present in like a lot of the video games that I played earlier during that time. So like I don't know did you play any of like the Mega Man games?
Oh yeah, I love Mega Man.
Yeah, I never played the original, but when I had a Game Boy, I was playing like the Mega Man
it was like
Zero.
NT? Oh no, Mega Man Zero.
Zero or like ZX.
I feel like I've heard of that. It was like the one with the like. There's a character in a red suit.
He's a red suit. Yeah. Yeah,
that's Zero. Yeah.
Right. There were like a lot of themes of like, enduring, like endurance and, sacrificing, a lot for like a greater good. And, I'd always like had admiration for like a lot of those like characters that, that were able to do so. So, I don't want to say that I fashioned my, my life after them. But definitely there are some of those themes that I try to, implement in I've tried to implement in my own life,
Okay. Do you ever feel like those themes can be pretty overwhelming?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, actually. Yeah. Like in this season of my life,
This is
you know,
season 27.
season 27, right? So in season 27 of my life, you know, I'm really trying to take it upon myself to like challenge myself in a bunch of different ways. You know, I think I told you that I'm preparing for like a bodybuilding show.
Right. Yeah.
So I've been dieting down for that. I really wanted to challenge myself to perform more more live music. You know, so that's another thing. And then of course like push myself in the context of my job, you know, my career. And you know, those three it can be hard to progress all three of those things at once.
Sure. Yeah.
I've had seasons in my life where I've tried to like juggle too many things and just ended up not doing any one of them like particularly well. So yeah, I would definitely say there's blowback, you know, trying to adhere too closely to that, you know, that anime protagonist, you know, model of doing things. You know, you have to, there's nothing wrong with having an ideal, but you know, what I'm still in the process of learning is that you have to, you know, cross-check your ideals with reality, you know, because at the end of the day, we live in reality, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Unfortunately.
know, there's only so many hours in a day, you know. Are you really gonna, you know, finish training for this marathon, you know, while you're also starting a podcast on the side and, you know, trying to go on tour in a month? You know, like, can you really do all those things?
I don't know why you're coming for me. I didn't even invite you. It's true. We can't operate on 10 for every single thing.
I say that, but I struggle to take my own advice. Yeah. So, you know.
What was your inner world like growing up? Like, how did you see yourself versus how others saw you? What were you into, and who did you share that with, if anyone?
Yeah. As far as how I saw myself, right? I think I just saw myself as a, you know, as a quirky kid. You know, at the time, you know, I think I was like into, you know, anime and, you know, cartoons and that stuff and video games. And I think it was a time during like right before it became like pretty much just normal, right? To be into that stuff publicly. But like in middle school, like, you know, around that time, like people would be like, "Oh, you watch that Japanese stuff? Like, how do you read the subtitles and enjoy your show?" You know, like. But yeah, I would say that I just saw myself as a quirky kid. You know, my brother, you know, was you know, pretty much always you know, one of my closest friends. And yeah, you know, sometimes I saw myself as a little bit you know, outcast, but you know, again, just sort of with time, you know, I kind of was able to put together my own, you know, motley crew of friends, you know, some weirder than I, some definitely more chill. And, you know, I think a lot of my childhood, yeah, I guess could be defined by, you know, learning the lesson that you can, you know, it's okay to be, you know, who you genuinely are. And, you know, you'll probably amass a group of people who are chill with that form of you as well.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I think I felt much more comfortable in myself. Needless to say, I felt much more comfortable in myself when I was able to, you know, really plant myself in my group.
Did you ever feel as though you didn't quite belong in your group? or a group in the past?
A group? Yeah, yeah. I mean, like in elementary school, like I got bullied like a little bit, you know. So, and like classic type of bullying, like we'd be on the playground and some kid would like give me wedgies, right? Like who's giving wedgies?
Right, yeah.
But I guess by the time I got into later middle school, I found like I felt like I found, you know, my group. And even though I was, you know, standing out in some of like my interests, I stood out in the way I expressed myself. I could be very eccentric at the time. But you know, even still, you know, found a group that was just like, oh, okay, that's just how Nathan is.
Yeah. I would have never guessed you were eccentric.
Well,
how did you express your eccentricity?
Well, I guess like the way that I'm speaking to you right now is like how I would be speaking like as a middle schooler. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So like in elementary, you know, it's Florida. We have we had the FCAT for the longest time for like standardized testing, and I think in the 3rd or 4th grade they included the writing test, and I don't know what compelled me, but I really wanted to nail that, so I just like ripped open, you know, a thesaurus, and I was trying to find substitutions for all the words in my vocabulary. So, you know, I was just like a 5th grader using, you know, words like, you know, a plethora or, you know.
But plethora is such a good word, though.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some people would consider it like overused, I guess, at this. So, but for an elementary schooler, it's, you know, plethora. You're nailing English, basically.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Oh man. But yeah. You know, I really, you know, dove in there and as a result, like I sound probably now pretty similar to how I sounded when I was like 13 or you know, like, 10 or 13.
Okay. So you had the vocabulary. And that was eccentric and a bit off-putting for some people.
Yeah.
Were you trying to come off as smart, or were you just wanted to ace the FCAT?
I wanted
and it just, that part of you just stayed.
And just like leaked into my everyday speech. Yeah. Because I'm like, I got to learn these words. So I guess now I have to use them, right?
True, yeah.
And it's just, you know, at least for me, right? At least for me, I guess I sort of struggled with, I guess, other kids saying that I wasn't really like very, how should I say, like, wasn't a particularly black kid. You know what I mean? And the thesaurus speed didn't help. Right? So, oh, man. You know, and you come to the, you know, you pull up to the table with your friends and you're like, hey everyone, we ready to have a splendid day? You know, it's
And you were serious?
And I'm serious. Oh man. Yeah, that was about how it sounded.
What was the makeup of your middle school and high school?
Middle and high school, I would say that they were pretty diverse.
Okay.
I went to McNichol Middle School and Stranahan High.
Okay, I know Stranahan.
Yeah, yeah. And
Stranahan's very black, though.
It's very black. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess you can imagine how in those circles, you know, I might not come off as like, you know, to some people, I might not come off as the most black dude.
Right. Yeah. That's why you picked this book.
Right.
It
it resonated with me. I wish somebody, you know, tapped me on the shoulder and just said, "Hey, here you go, kid."
When did you first feel like being nerdy wasn't safe or cool? How did that shape you?
When I first felt that way, I mean, from like elementary, you know, like when some kids would find out that like you watch, anime that you're like reading subtitles, it's just like, okay, it's not like it would destroy any friendships or anything like that, but
it's just you didn't mention it as much to people. Yeah,
right, because people put you in a little bit of a box.
Right, it's true. It was growing up for me, it was pretty much just shunned. I don't even know how we knew this. I forgot who I was interviewing when we were talking about this, about how much did people actually care, or did we just overblow it? Did we just all overblow it?
That has to be the case, because there can't be as many fans as there are like today,
right?
And like it was that taboo right back then,
right? Yeah. I don't know if we just didn't want to be labeled as nerds or geeks or whatever the heck.
I mean, I guess there's a lot of media that like kind of frames high school as like having this like real, rigid hierarchy, right? And, there's athletes pretty much at the top, and, the nerds are at the bottom getting shoved into lockers, right?
Right, yeah.
I do wonder, I mean, I know all of that stuff was happening, but I wonder if there was like a period for which it wasn't really the bullying, I guess, in that way wasn't happening, right, to that extent, but the media was like embedding an image, right, of what might happen, right, if you were so forthcoming with being nerdy.
Right. I guess we were all trying to fit in, and we all just sort of watch what other people are doing. And if this person is getting with an attractive person, then you want to be as close to that person as possible, so you can possibly get an attractive person as well, or get on the baseball team, or get into journalism club, whatever the heck you're into.
Right. I'm trying to be like that guy, and he doesn't have a My Hero Academia keychain on him, so
right.
That's the right.
Yeah. True.
I guess there was also a little bit of I don't know if you had this experience with like your parents, but I had to be careful with like watching anime at home as well, because there are some concepts in like in maybe Japanese culture and like media that were received poorly by like Christian, very Christian Jamaican parents. Like when I was watching like Naruto, for example, and he had the whole thing going on with like him being like a Jinchuriki for like the Nine Tails was a Jinchuriki, but basically him being a vessel for the Nine Tails.
Oh, okay,
and I think one of those like first scenes where he got that like red chakra and started having like fangs and whatnot.
Right.
My mom like came in and she's like, this is like demon stuff.
Oh,
man.
yeah, of course.
Like,
it has to be. It has to be. That's where they always go to.
You, right?
They always go to demon stuff.
Like, why are you watching this demonic stuff? So yeah, like I had to sneak it. I'm like, all right, that's the last time I watch television in the living room late at night. I need to, so there's that too, I guess.
My parents weren't really. They didn't really care that I watched anime. Now that I think about it, it's kind of funny. Okay. Inuyasha used to be on
Toonami?
Yeah, like the Adult Swim, like the Midnight Run or Adult Swim, whichever. So I would record it on a VCR.
So you could watch it. Record on a VCR. That's funny.
Yeah, because we'd have to record Mom's All My Children on VCR during the day. Like she had it programmed. Because you could, like set the time to record it. I think like to start and stop. Oh, but like during the summer when we would be home, sometimes we would record it, but like record out the commercials. So we had to like stop the recording, the commercial, then it's starting back. You had to press to record it back.
This was at her request?
I think so.
Okay.
'Cause I don't know why we would just do that.
That's very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like record it, but like, hey, make sure that you cut the commercials out.
Yeah.
Okay? That's
That's true. That's very smart, Mom. We're home anyway. So, but like, I would record Inuyasha, at night, and it was really cool. It was fun. I don't know if my mom watched it because I'm trying to remember. I think the TV would have to be on to record it. Maybe not. I can't remember. This was years ago. Because the VCR was in her room, was in my parents' room. So, I mean, granted, they would fall asleep to the TV on, so it's not really like the biggest deal. But sometimes they would wake up and turn it off or something. I don't know. But I know that there was like a way to change the channel, I guess, like have it programmed to change the channel to when it started, I believe. I think so. This was so long ago. This is VCR technology.
I'm asking to reach pretty far back.
Right, yeah. But it was fun. It was fun watching it when I got home from school. I don't even know how I found out about Inuyasha. when it started. But it was good times. But no, I don't think it's funny because that would totally be something my mom would do about like, this is demonic. And Inuyasha was half demon. Literally,
yeah. He's literally half demon.
Right. Yeah. What was that? Okay. Well, I turned out okay, right, Mom? Tell me about a time you performed masculinity in a way that now makes you cringe.
I would say this probably goes back to like that anime protagonist, I guess, ideal.
Okay.
For me, I guess masculinity is not something that I really thought explicitly about.
Okay.
Until the time I was in college.
Okay.
Yeah. I think because for a long time, I told you that my mom remarried when I was in high school. So, but for a long time, I'd just seen, my mom pretty much doing, everything that, a household, would require. I mean, obviously she had some help from us, but, some kids can't exactly help with like doing taxes, right? Yeah. or are not great at help with that.
Right.
But, yeah. So, it's really funny because, I guess my longest lasting, relationship, started in high school. And by the time that I was in college, I was made more aware that, people, especially in the context of a relationship, but society in general, have expectations of beliefs around men, right? And around that time I had to start thinking about like, what does this mean to me? What does it mean for me to be masculine, or what does masculinity look like for me? For me, I guess that I kind of define my masculinity around like getting stuff done,
Okay.
around the idea of like having a domain, like something that, something that I'm good at, something that I can, use to help people, something that, challenges me, but I'm able to, find success like either way. And I guess in the past, I've been bitten by that a little bit by trying to overemphasize that challenging part. In college, there was a season where I was in a situation where I like said yes to like too many things. I was in a lot of different clubs. I was in the Secular Student Alliance. I was in, funny enough, Young Americans for Liberty. It's I had a libertarian phase.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, yeah. Good times, good times. But I guess, yeah. I think I was working in like a research lab and like doing another internship at one point, and I was like commuting to a lot of things, and I just wasn't really like, I was trying to chase that like ideal of like, a man is supposed to be somebody who can like take on all the challenges that like the world, can offer and bear them on his back, and he's still standing upright, and I just wasn't really like checking in that like ideal again with like reality,
Yeah.
because I was like academically for that season kind of struggling a little bit. I was, not really as present in any one of those groups, and eventually kind of just fell out of any extracurriculars. And yeah, just like not really enjoying, what I was doing. I'd stress myself out like way too much, and again, just because of not checking in that ideal with reality. So yeah, I would say that's probably like, it was a cringe season, because it took me a little bit too long to see that like you're not this machine, right?
Yeah.
You're not something that can just infinitely commit to all of these tasks, and you don't have infinite work capacity. You have to chill, you have to rest. Sleep is important, and it's okay to say no to things.
Did your mom date, and did you ever meet her boyfriends growing up before meeting your father or stepfather rather?
To be honest, no. She she really put like dating on the back burner pretty much until she met my stepdad, my dad. And even that was just by chance, right? They were both going on a flight to Jamaica, right? Her to take care of some property affairs for my grandmother, and he was just going to visit family, and they bumped into each other on the flight. He'd really taken to her, and he tried to position himself to sit next to her on the plane, and they talked on the way there, and apparently they had good conversation, exchanged information, and the rest is history.
Okay. Props to your mom though for raising two boys.
We try not to give her a hard time, but it's
moms.
Yeah.
I get you. Yeah. What belief about life, relationships, or women did you have that you had to unlearn, and what helped you change?
I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm some kind of like saint or anything, right? But
you
I
have
don't
to unlearn anything.
Sorry. I feel like adjustments. Yes, I've definitely made. I don't feel like, at least I don't recall any like core beliefs that I've had that I've really had to walk back that far.
Okay.
I think I told you about me not really having a strong sense of like masculinity for a time like growing up, and so in the context of a relationship, right? In college, I had to, I guess, like be open to like critique and open to hearing like from my partner, right? Like what how she wanted me to like show up for her in a relationship. Like I've had the understanding that a relationship kind of works as a partnership, but a partnership is not necessarily an equal partnership, right? Where or a mirrored partnership, shall I say, where everyone's doing the same things, you know, right. It's, you know, I had to learn, hey, you know, there, at least with my partner, but I can imagine this is the case with like a lot of women. There are some things that, you know, women would prefer that you do more of, if not like, you know, not all of, yeah, all of, like, I guess, I've come to understand that, like, you know, in a context of I'm talking, I guess, about like typical like heterosexual relationships.
Right.
But I hear, you know, someone who is decisive, right? Like that being a trait that a lot of women tend to appreciate. And not that I'm a naturally indecisive guy, but I like to juggle pros and cons. And I think in part because of my my upbringing a little bit, I have some like people pleaser tendencies.
Okay.
So, you know, earlier on, you know, in life, in a relationship, you know, if there's a choice to be made, you know, I might look to my partner and say, like, what would you like? What would make you happiest? Right? When what she might want is for me to just kind of make a decision. Yeah, so that's like things like that are things that I've, you know, had to kind of digest and like learn to engage with a bit more like consciously. Yeah.
Okay. How were you a people pleaser?
I don't like to disappoint people.
Okay.
I think, I don't know if it's, I guess, an artifact of, you know, my childhood, because, you know, as we were saying before, like for the longest time, it was just me, my brother, and my mom. And, you know, as a Jamaican parent, you know, she definitely, she definitely has a way of like trying to nudge you, you know, in a certain direction.
Right.
Like way before.
Nudge is a little nice.
Nudges.
It's kind of shove you into the direction.
Like, give you an example. Way before I was even thinking about, you know, STEM, I loved animation, right? I mean, we're talking about like anime and different cartoons.
Right, yeah.
And I wanted to actually be like a cartoonist.
Oh, okay.
So I would draw all the time, and sometimes it would be, you know, little cartoon characters like here and there, but other times it would be like, you know, maybe some of my own, you know, characters inspired from like the art of, you know, like Dragon Ball Z, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I would draw for like friends, I would draw for my brother, you know, yeah, it was something I was really, you know, serious about for a time. At one point, I was even talking about, in middle school, like talking about moving to Japan and becoming a mangaka. So just learning the language, doing that for a living. And, you know, my mom, I would say like around middle school was like, hey, you know, I see you like this drawing thing. Well, you know what profession also involves a lot of drawing? You know, civil engineers, you know, because,
she's not wrong.
You know, the different building layouts and bridges and whatnot, like, you know, maybe consider that, you know, just because it seems to be really popular, you know, right now. And, you know, wanting to, you know, of course, you know, hear my mom out, of course, went that route with studying and went into engineering. Now, I didn't end up with civil engineering. I ended up with computer, but that's kind of an example of me being nudged all the way from like cartoonist to engineer.
Yeah. Is there a part of you that still wants to draw or do cartoons?
Nah.
Okay. When's the last time you drew something?
Drew anything? Probably like early high school.
Okay. That conversation?
Yeah. It stopped right then and there. I was like, oh, yeah. Sure, I'll give engineering a try. Man. Funny enough, my brother picked up art, and he got way better at it than I did. Yeah, he also kind of put it to the side to focus on studies, but yeah, it's just sort of interesting that we both had our stint with drawing and, you know, visual art. Yeah. But yeah, like growing up, you know, of course I wanted to get good grades and, you know, pursue these different fields, you know, for myself, right? Because you know, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to, you know, go in and explore, you know, engineering and math and all of that. But I really wanted to make my mom, you know, proud, you know, and I saw that like all of my like, you know, the honor roll certificates, you know, that I would get even from elementary school. My mom has like a manila folder like full of them still. Yeah. You know, so I could see that like everything that I did, you know, had like, you know, a big like emotional impact. You know, so, you know, and I was aware, right, that, you know, my mom was you know, in some ways trying to put on like a stronger, you know, persona so as to like be there for us. So, you know, just wanted to for a long time, you know, I've wanted to, you know, do well for myself, but also do well so that she could see that her sacrifice was worth it, you know?
Okay.
Right. But yeah, that's probably where the people pleasing comes from a little bit. Yeah, so I have a tendency to bring that into relationships.
I was just gonna ask.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't so much like disappointing my partner. Definitely try to, you know, show up in a big way, you know, as I'm able. But, you know, you have to I have to learn, right? Or I had to learn to step back a little bit from that desire, just because being a chronic people pleaser has a tendency to, you know, make you bad at setting boundaries, right? It has a tendency of, you know, making you overly reliant on feedback for things that probably don't need feedback. That's where the being more decisive, right, comes in.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Also, it's incredibly overwhelming.
Yes.
Yeah. And you get very burnt out by things. When you just say yes to everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's something that I'm still learning to you know, monitor and counteract. I think I'm getting kind of close to that point where I need to start saying no to things right now.
Oh. You're not there yet. What was the most recent thing you wanted to say no to, but you didn't?
Wanted to say no to, but I didn't. All right. So my friend Mark, his dad has a church in Coral Springs.
Okay.
And every now and again, funny enough, this is gonna sound funny to you at least, but every now and again, I sub in for their guitarist, and I like play on Sundays. Right. Because like I like, even though I'm not a religious person, right? I do like a lot of like gospel music. I do like aspects of church, right? I think as far as like getting a lot of people to like come together, you know, in unison around something, I think there's something that like church does that not very many secular things can really simulate. Okay. Or at least not that I've experienced firsthand. But anyway, there was an event on like a Thursday, and it was some type of seminar. And, you know, Thursday is like, you know, middle end of the week, you know, kind of trying to chill a little bit, but, you know, he asked if, you know, if I could play, and I'm like, I know that their guitarist is out right now. Let me just go and do my thing, right, and help out. And it was framed as like a little thing. To be fair, I don't think he knew,
Okay.
I don't think he knew either, right? Because it was somebody else's event, but the musicians had been requested to play. But it ended up being, I think the original time frame was supposed to be from like 7 to 9.
Okay.
And we're starting the event at 8:30. It looks bad already, right?
Right.
We end at 11:40.
Oh.
Yeah. I think they were really trying to get a deal on the musicians, and it was bad. It was to the point where like the drummer, like 30, like maybe 45 minutes before we closed out, and he's like, "Hey, I gotta go," and he just like left the
right.
he just left him from the side. Yeah. So it wouldn't have been that bad of a like commitment if if it actually occurred at the time that it was supposed to occur. So that's why I was willing. But if I knew it was gonna go on until 11:40, I wouldn't have.
Right.
I wouldn't have committed to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, that is so rough. On a Thursday night.
On a Thursday
Granted, the next day is Friday, so that's a bit of a perk, but still.
And it's like I have to do cardio tonight, like, so I'm about to drive home and then get dressed so I can go to the gym and be on the Stairmaster for like 30 minutes. Like, all right.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But yeah, stuff like that. I mean, now that I have that reference, right, I'm definitely going to be a bit more careful about committing to to any church activities in general. But yeah, I would say that was the most recent thing. That was just last week.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that was my Thursday last week.
Yeah. So. No church during the week.
We'll try and enforce that boundary.
What was a defining low moment in your life, and how did you overcome it?
That would have to probably be around fall. I want to say 2022.
Okay.
2022. So that was so at that time. Right. I had just moved back in, or around that time I just moved back in with my folks. And I was in Orlando for a time, right? But the pandemic happened. I got laid off from, my internship at the time, and it was harder to like juggle the to juggle like rent and my classes, and it was hard to make all of that, make sense. So I decided that it would be best to move back in with my folks, transfer from, UCF to FIU, and then see if I could finish my degree virtually, right? For as long as, we're still in that modality, because I think at the time, I don't know if FIU was doing in-person classes at the time, but that was the plan there. Right off the bat, I wasn't excited about the move back, just because love my folks, right? But as I mentioned, that I'm not a very religious person, but I had a very religious upbringing, and I'd gone to college obviously in pursuit of my degree, but I would be lying if I said that a big part of the motivation for me wasn't like kind of trying to distance myself from the church.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It got to a point where like, when I would visit my folks, like between semesters, like I would get like a lot of anxiety, like around going back into that environment and having to get back into the routine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, my anxiety wasn't that bad, because I'd spent, a couple years, right, at UCF, and had, created, quite a bit of distance already. So I'm like, okay, I can endure for a little longer, but I wasn't excited about that.
Right. Yeah.
the second thing, you know, obviously at that point my degree was taking a little bit longer than I thought it would take to get, and a large part of it was due to that overloading, right? That I was that I was doing.
This is your bachelor's?
This is my bachelor's, yeah.
Okay. You graduated high school in 2016, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the degree was taking a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
UCF gets its name.
Yeah. You can't finish.
You can't finish.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So it was taking longer. And, while it's not a big deal, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, when you're in the midst of trying to finish, right? It just like every moment that I was, in the college institution, like, and I'm just like seeing these like newer, younger faces pop up like every semester. It made me like aware of like my being here longer than I needed, to be. Mm-hmm. So I was starting to get fed up a little bit with my environment. For that reason. With the move back, right? Mm-hmm. I was in a relationship at the time. Mm-hmm.
From high school.
Yeah, from high school.
You guys both went to UCF.
We both went to UCF,
right, yeah.
But only I was moving back down.
Gotcha. Okay.
My girlfriend at the time, she was going through a couple of things herself. Her father had recently passed away. Okay. And she didn't have as much of a support system, especially with me moving back. Because between the two of us, like I had a car, right? So we would normally do like grocery shopping, or
right.
I would drive her to events.
And in Orlando, you need a car.
You need a car. It's not a very walkable city.
Right. No.
At all. Yeah. To say it would have been hard for her is an understatement.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like relationship wise, we had been together around like 8 going on 9 years at that point. Mm-hmm. And, she just said that she couldn't manage she couldn't manage the long distance. She couldn't manage the absence, especially given how close we were to graduation. She, felt like, there was too much in the air around what we're doing and where we're going right after graduation.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that relationship came to end at that time.
Okay.
At the time I'm feeling like, damn, my girl left me. Mm-hmm. I got no degree. I'm moving back in with my folks, and I'm going to church on Thursdays now. This is this is hell. Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. And just piling up on you, all that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I was just becoming like overcome with this feeling like that I did this to myself. That my thought at that time, when I was at my lowest, was that if I could have just been that ideal guy, who was able to, manage the 2 jobs, to manage the studies, to manage the relationship, then this wouldn't have been a situation to begin with. I would have graduated probably in the earlier part of the pandemic, would have been able to situate something where employment was concerned, right? This is me thinking, as optimistically as possible.
Right. Yeah.
And I might still be in a relationship. I would at the very least not be at home with my parents.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, in that stage, I felt like I failed myself on like a really, fundamental level. Mm-hmm. How I got myself out of it, really was, had to, take some time to like give myself grace, right? I mean, sitting down, like feeling, just hating on yourself is not going to change anything about your situation.
Yeah, that's true.
As much as, I was, feeling a little bit of that self-loathing, I, kind of had to sober myself and say like, the only thing that you can really do is like move forward, right? Yeah. That's, that's it, So, I just buckled down, where the studies were concerned, really focused on, getting an internship, and setting up that opportunity for after I graduate. Toward the end of that year is where I got my internship at UKG. And then, that turned into, full-time offer. And, I graduated and all of that stuff. And once I got actually out of that, that position, I felt so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then from there, it's just been, one, I guess, win after the other, right? I was able to get an apartment with my brother, make some really cool friends. I'm in a new relationship in which I'm very happy, so it's just, sometimes, you reach what's it called in the plot where it's not the climax, but I guess it would be like a trough. Sometimes you reach a trough, I guess, in in the progression, in the context of, this season of life, I guess. And, the thing about the lowest point is that it only gets better from here.
Yeah.
Right. So, I just had to kind of do my self-assessment, do all of the things that I knew I needed to do to get where I wanted to go, and just, have faith that those efforts were going to accumulate and, see me through to the other side. Yeah. So yeah, that was it.
Yeah. To have that realization of I can't just sit here and shit on myself, essentially. It's a really tough pill to swallow. When you realize you're essentially it's the consequences of your own actions in a way. And you're face to face with it, and there's no one to blame but yourself. There's moments when you want to.
It's me. I'm the problem.
Right.
Damn.
Right. Yeah. There's been definitely times when I wanted to blame others or try to externalize it in some kind of way. And when you just can't.
It's the worst feeling. It's the worst feeling. But it's the most, at the same time, it's like the most empowering position to be in, because that means that the number one factor in getting out of whatever situation that you're in is you. Right?
Yeah.
And so, okay, if it's just me, then all right, I know me. I have access to myself.
Sure,
I can, I can make changes, right? And I know that those changes will have an impact on my trajectory.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Was there ever a moment when you felt close to giving up on love or connection altogether? What pulled you out of that?
You're probably close to that point.
You just wanted to give up on love, and that yeah, I can understand. That makes sense when nothing is making sense at that point.
And for me, that was, I was in that relationship for 8 years. This is the person that I thought I was gonna marry.
Right. Yeah.
And I just had this feeling that this was all like a testament. All this was happening as a testament to the fact that I wasn't like good enough, right? Like not just to do the things that I wanted to do, but like even for love. And it's funny, my mom sat me down, to talk about it, because she could see that, that it was, the situation was weighing on me, right? And, she told me that, she basically told me that love finds a way, right? True love finds a way. She told me, a story about, her and my father, my biological father. And, how when they were in Jamaica, they were trying to, get to a situation where they were, where they were near each other. But I think they were both on, opposite sides of the island for a long time because of work. My dad was, he was a lawyer, I think, working out of Kingston, and my mom was I don't remember where she was working at the time, but she was working at the bank. They had quite a bit of distance between them, but almost daily, right? You know, my mom would tell me about how my dad would endure, like, you know, 2-hour drive to, you know, go over and just see her, right? Yeah. From where he was staying at. And you know, they would stay together for like the weekends, and you know, they just did what they could to make it work until their respective situations brought them together eventually. Right. Yeah. You know, she related it, you know, to the situation that I was in, because it was in a way distance that, you know, that distance kind of wrote the relationship that I was in. You know, she was saying that as like an example of the love that I'm to look forward to. Right. Right. Yeah. So, you know, there was a moment maybe where I felt like I was giving up on love, right? Because if the only relationship I've ever known, you know, if this thing that I was so sure of, you know, didn't work out, what hope really was there for me? Yeah. But you know, she assured me that you know, love is out there. It needs to be searched for, and when you get it, it's you have to it's work to stay engaged with it and to maintain it, you know. And she assured me that it was out there. So it was really literally only a moment. I guess that I felt that way. Okay. The moment of giving up or the moment of hope? The moment of giving up. It was just for a moment that I felt, you know, I felt that feeling of hopelessness. Yeah. But I think my mom saw from not so afar and you know, sat me down to, you know, pick me up a little bit. That's great. Because you thought your ex was going to be the person you're going to marry, you saw the future in your mind's eye. Right. And when that ended, you couldn't picture a future. Right. Everything seemed unsure, right? Like career seemed unsure because, you know, of the transfer, right? My romantic life seemed unsure because, the plans that I had made, the vision that I'd had, right? You know, when a serious relationship ends, you know, you kind of have to like mourn the loss of the hopes that you had, you know, in that context. So, yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that your mom picked you up though. That's awesome. Have you ever been cheated on or cheated on someone? Cheated on, thankfully, no. Have I cheated on someone? Also, no. Okay. I figured that was the answer. Yeah. Have you ever been the other man in any situation? No. Okay. The closest thing I've gotten, and it's not cheating, but the closest thing that I've gotten to is in that other relationship. There was a period where we had actually opened the relationship. Oh. Yeah. You know, I think the logic is kind of funny looking back, but we're like, so we're definitely going to be with each other, right? But let's get whatever, you know, out of our systems and see what's out there for a limited time, knowing that we're going to come back to each other, right? It's hardly ever that simple, right? But, right. Yeah, it's not like people are just out there ready. Right. I mean, we did come back together, right? And you know, we continue to be in a relationship with each other like for a couple of years past that point. Okay. Yeah, so it wasn't the nail in the coffin at all, but it was it was an uncomfortable experience for me just because I think when I got to a point where it took me a while, but when I got to a point where I was getting to engage with other women, there was a little bit of jealousy to like to deal with, or like possessiveness, I guess. I don't mean possessiveness in like a bad way, but right. Like, was it your girlfriend was possessive of you, or was getting jealous because you were getting attention from women? Yeah. Okay. Because it was open on both sides, we were both right getting attention, but I think we talked about it, and like we talked about like, or would we be okay with us with each other sleeping with different people? And we had that conversation, and we said like, that's kind of part of the whole open relationship thing. But there's a difference, I guess, between speaking about how you would feel about something and then actually being in that situation. And it was a situation where I was cool with it, but when it came to me, right, it I think it started off as her telling me, okay, I'm feeling a little bit of jealousy, but it's all good. And I think maybe she was trying a bit to suppress, I guess, her feelings, her true feelings around what was going on, out of, I guess, respect for the agreement. But at one point she just told me like, I'm actually not cool with this. And that's fair. Like, again, there's a difference between talking about being cool with something and then actually being in that situation.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. Open relationships, polyamory. I know that people who are in open relationships make it seem easy.
No, listen, it's hard. Monogamy, right? Like being in a relationship, and communicating effectively and taking into account like one person is difficult, and is a lot of effort and engagement. So I can't imagine, right, how there are people doing this with multiple people.
Right.
You have to have, it would appear to me at least, that you would have to have your communication on lock. You'd have to be with people who you would have to know yourself very well, and be with people who also know themselves decently well, lest chaos ensue. I think that polyamory is obviously like is doable, but I think there's like a higher requirement of you in pretty much all regards to make it work long term.
Yeah, for sure. Like one of my good friends, Jamie, who was on the podcast, like he's polyamorous, and he taught me a lot about just communication and what it means, and it's just an ongoing thing that I'm still learning. Also, time management. Putting everything in my calendar. I can't imagine how his looks.
Because relationship, there's a physical time investment as well. You need to be present, not just emotionally, right, but physically, there. Right. If somebody cares about you, they're gonna want to spend time with you. They're gonna want to invite you to things, or just have you nearby when you're when they're doing some type of work or whatever menial task, or what have you. I think that's our natural instinct, at least with the people we care about.
Yeah, for sure.
To have them near, and it's hard to be near if to any one person if there's a lot of people. So having the time management on point. I can imagine.
I have 2 questions on this topic, then we're going to something else.
Okay.
One, would you be still open to being open today?
Nope.
Okay.
No. No. No, I think the blowback told me what I needed to know. I think that it wasn't very comfortable in being in a situation where your partner is like experiencing that kind of experiencing some of, I guess, the insecurities that might come with that situation.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was it was our particular implementation. I think maybe if we were more honest with ourselves, then we probably would have cut things earlier, or just not gone through, with the ordeal as a whole. But I think it's, a little risky, being in that situation where you're finding out, right, like how your partner really feels about, about sleeping with other people, or, talking, romantically with other people. And you've kind of already gone and done it, you know? It's like, dang, well, if I knew you'd feel this way, I would have not done it, but I can't undo anything now.
Right.
So I guess we're just here.
Would you have felt some type of way if it was open and she did it, but then you didn't?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Because, reciprocity is big. I mean, I guess there's no requirement if I don't need that aspect, but
Right.
if it's going to be an open relationship for you, then it might as well be for me as well.
For sure, yeah. Yeah. I guess it would have been like if you just couldn't find any women.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was the situation for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the first time that I guess had experiences with dating apps, and
Okay.
it was really funny. We're like, oh my gosh, this is so new and fun, right? We're creating our dating app profiles, right, together. She makes hers, I make mine. As soon as hers is complete, like she's getting people that are like matching with her, and I'm like, oh, okay, like any minute now, we'll and mind you, like I'm not taking great pictures at all. I got my 720p camera.
Yeah.
It's I have no idea what the formula is supposed to be, because I think for presentation wise there is a formula, right?
Right. Yeah.
For navigating these apps. I didn't know at all. So the matches were very scant in the beginning. That was funny.
So my second question is, did you, I guess because you did online dating during that time, did you find talking to women, conversing, flirting, or anything difficult? Or did you find it surprisingly easy?
Oh, I found it difficult. Not necessarily talking, because, to talk, you just talk, right? Find a point of commonality and we can just riff on that. But I think because I never really dated, even in the traditional sense at the time, that process of like converting, friendly banter into romantic banter, that's not something that I'd really had experience with. So there'd be a lot of me like starting conversations with people, talking about, their favorite, the music on their profile, right? Talking about albums that we enjoyed, and then it just like going nowhere because I didn't take that next step to say like, hey, we should go out,
Right.
And I think it's because, most of the relationships I've like formed in this in my life, I guess, have been spontaneous, right? They've been, a product of being in a particular space around, people at that time, and us just getting to know each other by the benefit of proximity, and then, from there we get to know each other a little bit like deeper. Online dating is almost like a completely cold approach. Not completely cold. I guess a few details, right? Because of the profile, right? I guess that's the point of it. But it's like it's the closest thing to cold.
Yeah, I would see it more as a faux approach, a fake approach, because you already know something about this person, and you're on the device where you are also on Instagram. Pictures of gorgeous, amazing, beautiful people, and then you go to a dating app and then you see normal people. And it could be a bit jarring. So I feel as though it could get you jaded a lot quicker, partly because of that, and also I guess in my case, for being a woman, getting matches and it doesn't go anywhere, or they just want to go straight to sex, or they don't ask you a single question. And then you get 100 of these in a month.
Right. I can see how it'd be like just a fast track to being really jaded.
Yeah. So
yeah, I don't know that it's a format that like I mean, obviously people have seen success, right?
Oh yeah,
Online
for
dating.
sure. Yeah.
But I don't know that it's the format best set up for people to really make, lifelong connections. I think that people fare best, with that kind of that warm approach, I guess, where they're, they do something or they frequent somewhere and they're able to, be in a space, for a prolonged period of time with other people, and they meet their person in the process of
Right.
of doing something.
Yeah.
It's just that, there's a big lack of, I guess, those third spaces, for our generation right now.
Yeah, for sure. Third spaces have been replaced by social media and just spaces on the internet now, which is unfortunate. Some people do meet on Instagram. People slide into people's DMs.
For sure.
And that works. It's just that there's still that key missing element of a third space where you see people that, like a bar, you see people and they're regulars and you're a regular and you become friends or just acquaintances where you could catch up and things like that. Unfortunately, it seems as though work has become a third space.
Definitely.
Fortunately, unfortunately. I can understand why it has. It's just at the same time, it shouldn't be everything.
Yeah, it shouldn't be everything, right? If we're going to spend, the argument, could be that if we're going to spend, most of our lives, right, in some air-conditioned building,
yeah, I guess so.
with pale white lights, right, then at least, we could hope to find love and lasting, friendships and relationships there. And oftentimes you can, right? I mean, I think, you can find worthwhile, people who are worthy of including in your circle. You can find them almost anywhere. Almost. Yeah, it when it becomes the only place, right, then we can get into a dangerous territory of mixing business with pleasure.
Right, yeah. Of course, work, it's nice to meet people, especially when you're in the same field, similar interests more than likely. So, yeah, work is a common place for people to meet.
Right.
Which I understand.
But it would be nice to have more options.
For sure.
For sure. Yeah. I think it's just, I had a period in college where I, was trying to hit up the clubs, but they're not really conducive to meaningfully meeting anybody, right? I mean, it's not a great space to sit down and get to know somebody, right? And there are other things that you can do though. I mean, run clubs, recently have become like a really popular meeting spot, funny enough.
Right.
But it's kind of funny, the way, right, ideally that you would meet your person is doing something that you would already like and finding a community, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, kind of heard that people were meeting each other at run clubs and then joined run clubs too.
When they don't actually run
like,
it.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, wait, let's like the thing before we commit to it here.
Right, yeah. And I guess that's the difficult part where it's hard to find places outside where you can do the activity that you like.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of hobbies don't really require you to go outside, right? Like,
unfortunately,
yeah. I mean, it's convenient, right? But unless it's something explicitly physical, like, maybe you love working out, you love going to the gym, right? You can meet people there, right? If you play in a league, like an amateur league, that's local, right? That's potentially a space to meet people, although at least for sports they're usually gendered, so you're the
thing is, like, you could still meet people and then you could have a party and then they invite people.
True. Yeah, that's true.
Like,
that's true.
Somebody on the kickball team could invite their girlfriend and the girlfriend invites some friends and then that's how you meet. One of my good friends started a board game group, board game meetup at a brewery. It's been going on for about 10 years now,
Oh
almost.
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Were you telling? I know you had a party where I was talking to somebody who I don't know if the owner of the brewery was there or
No.
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 Okay.
Yeah. He was probably the newish person who runs it, because the original person stopped running it. So they continued on and still going every Wednesday. I know that there are some people who've met their significant others there. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, just getting outside and doing something, right, and making connections, right, is the big thing. Because yeah, like you said, even if you don't meet somebody doing that thing, participating in that activity, right, knowing more people creates more opportunities to meet other people, right, you know, at like a party or some kind of gathering.
I do think people need to throw more parties, though.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter if you have an apartment, a studio, somewhere small. Just
host people, get them together. Yeah, it can be a little bit of a hassle, you know, clean up and all of that stuff. But if you got good friends, they'll help out with that.
Yeah, for sure. Just tell people, hey, bring this. Hey, bring that. Hey, you have the music playing from the TV. You know. And then there you go. Actually, my first Halloween party, I didn't have speakers. I didn't even have those Bluetooth speakers. Nothing. And I asked some friends to bring their Bluetooth speakers.
Okay.
And they brought it, yeah. Actually, and I had like no seating either. So in the patio. So I told them to bring camper chairs. And it was a great time. Yeah. It was a great time.
Yeah, there's nothing like a little bit of communal effort, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. It really helps. So if anyone's thinking about having a party and they're thinking, oh, I don't have enough seats, I don't have this, I don't have that, just have your friends bring it if they have it.
Yeah, everybody's got like at least one chair.
Right, yeah. What's a relationship, romantic, platonic, or familial, that deeply reshaped who you are today?
Yeah, two come to mind. What I'll put, you know, at the top of the list is probably my relationship with my brother.
Okay.
Him and I have always like been very close. And you know, from a young age, you know, because you know, our father passed away, I felt like I bore the responsibility of like setting an example for him. So I think maybe that also contributes to, you know, this idea I've had around, you know, making sure that I'm bearing, you know, my load well, right, and that I'm able to, you know, seek out challenges and, you know, complete them and be an example, right, for him. So for some part of our relationship is kind of defined by that for me, right? I mean, looking out for him and being a male role model for him, you know, kind of in the place of our father.
Okay.
But you know, we're 4 years apart. And you know, the thing is, as we get older, the significance of the developmental significance of those 4 years kind of becomes less and less.
For sure, yeah.
So, you know, over the past, you know, I guess over the past like 5-ish years, I've had to like kind of catch myself and you know, sort of transition the way I think about my relationship with my brother to less of mentor mentee and more of like just friends. We're two young adults doing our thing. You know, I mean, we've always been friends on top of that dynamic,
right?
But you know, that's one change I guess that I've you know, been implementing, I guess, over the years. And yeah, my relationship with my brother is, you know, shown me, you know, what a consistent, you know, friendship looks like. We haven't always been in the same place at the same time, but we've always been able to just call each other up and, you know, talk and joke and laugh. You know, I was able to talk to my brother about, you know, some of the struggles that I was going through. You know, he would be there and listen. You know, my brother, you know, would do the same, you know, for himself to me. And yeah, I think, you know, this showed me consistency. It showed me what, like, it's been like a very clear example of like what really good friendship looks like. You know, my relationship there. And then, the other, I think, relationship, of course, is probably my relationship with my ex, right?
Okay.
Even though it didn't, even though it didn't continue on, it was a relationship where a lot of like firsts occurred, and it's a relationship that taught me, what it looked like to commit to somebody. It taught me conflict management. It taught me what it looks like, or it taught me at least some of the ways that people like to receive love, and what it means to kind of bridge, whatever gaps that there may be in your love languages. Because sometimes, there are gestures that are super meaningful to you that, for one reason or another, right, don't necessarily carry the same weight the other way.
Yeah.
You might be some people might be tempted to be like upset at that fact, right? Like, why don't you see things my way, or why don't you receive love in the way that I receive it? And the less of that you do, I think, the better. There's room for compromise in all things. There should be room for compromise, but I think, yeah, it taught me to that relationship taught me to really listen, for my partner, and communicate in a way that's true to, like, both of our needs. So yeah I would say it was that was pretty foundational, and probably it set the stage for a lot of how I express love in my relationships. Actually, you know what, now I feel like a jerk, because actually my relationship with my mom is probably what laid that foundation more. I should have led with my mom, actually. Oh man, no, she would kill me if you shared that. But no, I would say my mom, because it was for a long time a single parent household that my brother and I lived in. But one thing that we were never short on was love. My mom raised us in a household where we felt comfortable, right, expressing our emotions. We felt comfortable, explicitly saying the words like "I love you," right, and hugging, right, and other such gestures. So it wasn't really a question of like how our mom like felt about us. And I'd like to think that I carry some of those like same attitudes towards expression of of love and like affection into my relationships.
Okay. When did you first start feeling like an adult, or at least like you were no longer a child?
Like a real adult, I would say probably when I got my apartment with my brother.
Okay.
Yeah, so just a couple years ago. Because I feel like there's adult as a legal designation, and then there's the idea of an adult, somebody who's like really self-sufficient, is taking care of a space that's their own, goes to work. Around that time I came into a lot of those responsibilities fully. Like, I mean, I've worked jobs before, and I mean, in college for the most part I was self-sufficient.
Yeah.
But you're a student still. That's not a real profession, quote unquote. So I still had the feeling, right, that that something was lacking, that there's still more steps, and there were still more steps, I think. But yeah, I would say around then, when you've got your own car, and I mean, maybe that's a uniquely American perspective, right? But when you got your own car, and you got your job, and you're paying your bills, and oh man, it's tax season, I gotta make sure I pay Uncle Sam. Those are like adult responsibilities.
For sure.
Yeah. And little landmarks too, relationship wise, because I think that relationships a relationship progressing at least should be, a sign of a certain amount of emotional maturity that you've acquired. But saying that now, I guess, progression of a relationship, doesn't mandate any of that really.
I think so. I think progressing of a relationship is very important towards adulthood. I think a lot of people stay very stunted in their relationships if they, not even necessarily if they got together young or early. Sometimes they're just mentally immature and they get together, or they're immature in terms of relationships and how to treat the other person, the other partner. And they just stay that way mentally, and they never grow up in that sort of sense. And then when they break up, when they're trying to date somebody else, they start playing games and they start doing sorts of just trifling shit or just so yeah, no, I definitely think maturing and becoming an adult in a relationship is important, because you might contribute to your 401k,
right?
But if you're planning on using that money to buy a boat and just a boat, and right, you're not thinking of anything else and not thinking of your partner,
you haven't really graduated to a more adult, because a child could do that given enough funds.
Right, yeah, they can buy a boat. They're not thinking of how can our money contribute to the family or to our relationship to make us grow, or how can we get really rich or what have you.
But you see, that's why I say I guess progression within or I guess progression in a relationship or continuing to be in a relationship is not necessarily a sign of maturity, because it seems like there are a lot of immature people who manage to still get to the stage of like marriage.
Oh, that's what you're talking in terms of milestones.
Yeah, milestones.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. Now, there's a lot of people who are married and don't want a spouse.
It's crazy to say, but it's true.
Yeah. They're married and that doesn't matter, and they're still out here cheating it's nothing. Yeah.
But the idea, right, is that as you hit these milestones with someone, right, that the years should come with emotional maturity. I think a lot of that wisdom and maturity and experience is
I love that you said idea, because it's the ideal that you're searching when realistically.
I have to preface it that way.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's what everybody is hoping, in a way. Almost. There are some people who get into marriage knowing that they can be divorced. But most people, I would assume, try to get into the marriage in hopes that it will last forever.
Right. Yeah. I think, I almost think that you almost have to believe so for it to, I don't know if that's true, but I mean, it's a big commitment, right? You should go in with, you should go into it. I'm of the mind, at least, that you should go into it thinking that, this is it. Like, this is the relationship that I'm going to be in. Like, you want to have that certainty going in.
I want to flip that question a little bit. When did you first start feeling like a man, or at least no longer a boy?
Feel like a man. A lot of my feelings around masculinity are associated with doing and, showing up for people and, and that progression, right? So, it sounds weird, but I would have to say, like, around that same time, like
all of 2022.
Yeah. A lot happened in 2022. Yeah. It's just, it's a time when, at least for me, I felt I felt most deeply that, the trajectory of my life was entirely, you know, determined by my will. When I was in college, toward the end in particular, I felt kind of trapped by my circumstances and trapped by, the consequences of earlier actions. And from then on until now, I felt like really in control of my life. I feel like I've been able to, in the terms of my brother, right? I've been able to, provide a safe space between the two of us in, our apartment, where he's been able to, buckle down, and, he finished his degree, just got his master's.
Hey, nice.
I'm in 2 weeks. I think I told you that I'm going on a trip with my family.
Yeah.
To go to the UK and visit some of the family down there, and that's something that I was able to make happen. Saving and collecting my points here and there. It feels good that I'm in a stage where I can do this for my family and just take care of things. It feels good that I can see people through on their own journeys and be someone who played at least some role in them getting, seeing success, whatever success means for them. I think a lot of this season encapsulates what masculinity, is to me, right? Being able to be there and to be able to provide a platform, not like that's, well, maybe not a platform, but provide a foundation, right, upon which, others can, whether it's a moral foundation or a material foundation or what have you, but provide a foundation for the people that I care about to be able to grow and thrive and take something positive. I think I've definitely been looking back on to the model that I guess my biological father left. And I guess what I'm trying to do is live a life such that when I do pass, because I know I must one day.
Not with that attitude.
Right? Sorry?
Not with that attitude.
No,
Okay.
Oh man. But the idea is that when I pass, that I'll have left an impression on the people who knew me, such that they'll be able to talk about me, for years after. They'll be able to take something that I said to heart and maybe change something in their life. Some change, even if it's microscopic, but to be able to be the basis of some change that that remains after I'm gone. So I feel like this season is by this season I mean I guess I'm technically talking about the last 3 years. It's a period of time where I've best been able to actually manifest that in my life. So I would definitely say around the time that I got my own place.
Okay. Nice. There's a song from the play Wicked, or musical, or whatever. The song from Wicked called, I believe it's called For Good. And there's a line in the song that goes, "Who can say that I've been changed for the better, but because I knew you, I have been changed for good." And that kind of reminded me of what
That definitely, definitely resonates with me. Yeah.
What do you know now that you wish your younger self had heard, especially during his lowest point?
What do I know now? I think I would say to my younger self at my lowest point, I think I would say to just persevere, right? There's oh boy, I'm blanking on where this saying comes from. I don't know if it's biblical, but this saying like, "This too shall pass."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's life. We experience it, linearly, right? So the benefit of that is that when a moment has passed, it's gone, and there's no going back to it, right? It's a benefit in in the, you know, in the low points at least.
Right. Yeah.
You know, the concerns that you have at whatever stage that you're in, you know, will seem so distant in, you know, another year or two or three. You know, so I would say, you know, feel, of course, you know, give yourself the space to feel what you need to feel. You know, honor your emotions. But, you know, understand that whatever is ailing you in this moment is bound to this moment. And you can choose to move forward, you know, whenever you want to. You know, so that's what I would say. At least that's the idea, I guess, that helped me most through, you know, my most recent, you know, trough, you know, 3 years ago.
Why do you think you're really good at communicating with women?
Why do I think I'm really good at communicating?
I don't know if that's a good way to ask that. Like, yeah, like, why do you feel as though... One of the things I noticed about you was that you tend to... This is going to sound very like bars on the floor, but you don't interrupt. You genuinely listen. You seem to genuinely care. You seem to have a natural curiosity. And I'm not saying like no matter who's talking, but you don't seem to need to perform. I guess that's a better...
That's right.
Sorry. I was like, it's like, how do I verbalize this? Because I don't think I've ever had to do that. It's like it seems so like, I don't know, like demeaning of me as a woman, but like, this is the freaking society that we live in. So
why do you say demeaning?
I say demeaning because it sort of feels like I'm putting myself as though I know that I'm lesser than, even though I don't feel as though that I'm lesser than. It's just that I know that society sees women as lesser than. The other day I was thinking how women are considered a marginalized group when we're 50% of the population. If you were to get a piece of paper, like lined school paper, and the margins were 50% of the paper. Right. So.
And in some, you know, if we're looking at, you know, different localized areas, sometimes more than 50% of the population.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So,
yeah.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And the need to, not having the need to perform. I don't know. I don't think I see a reason to try to perform. Like, I don't know. Do you think you could give me like an example of like what some guys like might do trying to perform masculinity specifically in relation to women, like being around them?
Interrupt them while they're speaking.
Okay.
Demean them. Think that their ideas or thoughts... Immediately dismiss their ideas or thoughts, and then come back a couple of days later. It's like, oh, ChatGPT said this. I was like, oh.
Oh man, yeah. No, I get you. Small like gestures to kind of, well, to drive home right that point that I perceive you as a woman and that you are necessarily lesser than. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've just had a lot of really significant people in my life be women, right? I think, you know, a lot of people get, you know, memed, you know, when they have the response like, I'm not sexist, you know, I have a sister. Like, I love my, you know, like, or like, I love my mom. But I mean, but for real, like, having people who are, you know, of diverse backgrounds and of, you know, just, you know, from other groups, close in your social circles, I mean, that normalizes them doing, significant things in your life. My mom, has, been a rock for me since, early childhood. But like growing up, throughout elementary, I've had, so many friends, right? So many women besides me studying the same things and, or even different things. And I've gotten the opportunity to see their brilliance, right? I've gotten the opportunity to see their, to see their capabilities. And, I've known enough and experienced enough to know that, it should go without say that, women too are capable of, and, I've seen too many examples, I guess, to deeply hold, any, belief in that vein, I guess. And it's a notion that's like really foreign to me, but, I am, given reminders that, people really do think that way. Like in, my freshman, engineering class, I was on a team, and, it was comprised of, mostly men, because, engineering's kind of a sausage fest in most places. And, I was joining my team. We were putting together, some kind of like catapult. That was, the challenge.
Okay.
And, if you won, you got, free textbooks for like a couple of years. So it was a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I was working with my team, and, one of the team members said something really crazy, honestly, just like said something to the effect of like, he was just like, I'm really glad I got the team that I got, like, you guys are all really solid. And I'm like, at first I'm like feeling like, okay, this guy is like really appreciating us. He's like, I'm really glad I got the team that I got, really lucky that we, didn't have any like women, on the team. And I'm just thinking like, huh? Like, and he's like, yeah, like, I just feel like this kind of stuff, like the building and the taking the measurements and all this, I just don't feel like, women really do that stuff, like, he's just like, I just don't really think that they're, this is their thing. And I'm like, right. Okay. It's like we took what could have been a sweet moment,
right?
We tainted it with sexism,
right? Yeah, because you just thought like, oh wow, he actually like noticed and appreciates each and every one of us,
right?
And like,
so glad that you all have penises. If you didn't, there'd be problems, man. It's like, so. And that's in higher education, right? I mean, granted, he was a freshman, he just got there, but like, still, like, the fact that the idea that someone of my generation in college, right, harbored, a belief about women such that they'd be just in general less fit to do engineering, make a catapult, like, it's just, I don't know, it's crazy.
That is so bizarre that was his first thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I thought that it was going to be a moment to really like, give ourselves a pat on the back, because we worked all night on this thing. So yeah, it did really taint the moment for me. Yeah. And I, needless to say, I didn't really maintain contact after that project. Oh man. But yeah, like, I've seen too many examples of like of brilliant women, and I think in all things, right? I mean, for as much as we want to be aware, right, of for as much as we want to be aware of like the needs and the histories and the particulars of like different groups, marginalized or otherwise in society. I think at the end of the day, we have to treat each person as an individual unto themselves.
Yeah.
Because whatever preconceived notion that you might have about somebody because of how they're shaped or how they're colored, right? Or, even some inkling of their interests, all of those assumptions could be turned on their head, the moment that you try and, talk to them, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm really big on, treating people as individuals and, being curious to know more about their experience specifically. Because, while there are a lot of commonalities you can find between me probably and some other black dude, if you get into the nitty gritty of our stories, our lives are so intrinsically different in how they're detailed. Our experiences are truly our own. At least that's what I believe.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, I just can't get over that guy. That's
I did not expect to hear that in the context of an engineering class. Again, we just spent all night working on this.
So that goes to show how his mind works with little to no sleep.
Right.
That's like in the grunginess of his brain. That's like in that's his id.
It's like a core belief. Yeah.
It's just
like, that's scary.
Right. It's like, oh, why are you thinking of that?
Oh, man.
Yeah, it could have been somebody else on like another team that he could have been friends with that had a girl on the team, and maybe the friend was just as sexist and was like, oh my goodness, this girl's like, yeah, because you probably just keep giving her crap or saying like snide remarks and making her feel like garbage instead of just letting mistakes happen or just learning and just having the thing work.
Yeah.
So like, who the heck knows what? But regardless, he said that.
Yeah.
So we know that.
We know. Yeah. 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 Craziness. Craziness. But yeah, it little examples like that. I don't really, understand. I mean, I guess I can understand how somebody comes into that space, right? Like, as human beings, right, or our minds are wired to recognize patterns, right? And if you're exposed to only so many examples, right, of a group, especially if the impressions that they left were negative, we're very quick to try and take two incidents and try to establish a trend to basically paint an entire population with. And one thing that I think about often is how few examples we in our personal lives really have for any given demographic group, right? Say that I know like 100, black men, right? There are literally billions, outside outside of the 100 that I know, right? And while I might feel confident in my assessments about, my community and, the concerns that we might share, my personal experience leaves out the vast majority of that population. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So. Yeah, you learn what you can. Of course, the conclusion is not to. Not try and seek out information, but it's to understand that at the level of the individual, right? You do best by this person to throw your assumptions out the window and just let them tell you who they are and show you through their actions.
Yeah, for sure. Nathan, this was an awesome conversation.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Is there anything that you'd like to promote?
Man, I'm not on anything.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not on social media.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything really that I want to promote aside from just continuing to be awesome people to the extent that you're awesome. I'll promote this podcast. I mean, it's been really awesome.
Thank you.
Watching it, it's been really awesome seeing the different guests. And it's been kind of cool. I mean, you're all not that much older than me, but there's still, I recognize that there's still a stepping stone or two of experience between me and some of the folks that you've had on the podcast. So it's always refreshing to hear the perspectives of people who've like kind of been through the stage that I've been through already, right? It helps to learn a lesson without having to learn it firsthand.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nathan.
Not a problem, Leander. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure.